Hi, my name's Todd Studer, and this is NOC Talk, presented by FMTC.
From family movie nights to epic game battles to working from home, FMTC has been connecting Southwest Iowa for 125 years, thanks to you. We're your neighbors and friends, and we care about serving our communities. That's why we continue to build the communication future. FMTC, celebrating 125 years of local service. Stay connected, explore what's possible, and celebrate with us.
Welcome back into the studio, and today's episode of NOC Talk, we are welcoming back Alan DeBolt, Isabelle Allen, and also Services Manager Jake Daly is joining us today. So thank you so much, Jake, for jumping in and being a part of this. We're going to learn a little bit more about some differences that are going on inside of the technology, such as 5G versus a gig. To be honest, I'm coming at it as a novice. I don't really know what the difference is. So let's learn a little bit more about what's happening.
Sure. So 5G, the misconception there is the G just stands for generation. It's fifth generation wireless. So it's really a spectrum and a frequency thing for wireless telephone and data transfer. 1 gigabyte is an actual measurement of speed and or data measurements. So the difference between those is vast.
That is something that I didn't know, and I'm going to just, hopefully I don't expose myself as a village idiot. But 5G just standing for generation, that means when you look back at, say, what 3G was, Sure. It's just an advancement of technology. Absolutely. It's not like this is twice as powerful as Correct. What the other was.
That's correct. So it's capable of higher speeds, but less range. So the requirement of speed over time has become, everyone needs more speed and more data, and 5G frequency is capable of higher speeds, but it has a lesser range. So and it's not available everywhere at this point.
Is there a minimum now where things are at? They said, okay, you really need to have at least this speed coming into your home in order to even function with typical internet?
I think it's an opinion-based thing, but 250 megabytes seems to be a baseline these days. So, and that's the majority of requirement.
I know that for us here at the studios, we've recently put in 1 gig. And it has been life-changing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But we do a lot of video uploading, so you can see that the upload speed to us is very, very critical. Going from where were we at, about 80 to a full gig?
You were 80 megabyte.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
Yes.
Yeah, with FMTC services, we provide symmetrical services. So whenever we provide 1 gig download, we're also providing the 1 gig upload. So for customers like you, that's huge.
Yeah, and I think that some people forget that. They just they look at 1 gig and they're not thinking that it's going both directions.
Yes. And
that can be very key to it's taken my upload time from 20 to 25 minutes to get a video up to less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that, for a business especially, is huge. When you can save that amount of time and just from the internet speed coming in, is that the top end right now? Can you go higher than that?
We're actually looking at multi-gig connection right now. We haven't dove into that too heavily, but it's certainly is on our radar at this moment.
Is it? Can computers handle that? I mean, if does somebody need to upgrade their computer? If they're going to go to that kind of speed, is the device that they're working on capable of handling it?
Some are and some are not. So if you're going to be multi-gig capable, you definitely would want to make sure that your device is capable of multi-gig.
So looking back then at the 5G, What's the typical speed that you're going to get out of that?
Totally depends on where you are. So obviously the closer to the cellular tower, the higher speed you will get.
Okay.
The further out you get, the more diminished your speed will be as well. But I think it's important to note that 5G is a frequency. The backhaul of that is actually done over fiber. So it is fiber to the tower. It's wireless to your device on cellular.
Again, new information for me, not something that I knew. But do most people know how far away they are from a tower?
No.
I mean,
Signal bars, right, on your
Yeah.
phone that shows, hey, I got one bar. And to go back a little bit about what Jake's talking about too, because, I've worked for a wireless company for a long time. Things have changed a little bit in that world, as far as data. So you can be quite a ways away from the tower and still get good speed, but it depends on a lot of things, right? There's signal to noise ratios. There's multiple different things that plays into the factor about how much speed you get, interference type things. And when those pieces are in place, it is a major, major problem for you to be able to get any types of speed at all. And sometimes, as we see in the wireless world, there's a lot of latency that happens where, it takes a while to load a web page. It takes you a while to be able to see YouTube. It takes you a while to see different things where fiber, when it brings it to you, it's going to bring it to you and you've got it. And there's usually not any of that latency involved in that.
Correct.
Yeah, and like a practical real world example too, on the way up here I saw you were speed testing 5 gig on your phone. So what were the results?
So in town, I was able to pull 500-600 megabytes on a download. Upload, not so much, maybe 90, 91. But it varies so much depending on, like you're saying, it could be hills and valleys or buildings or whatever may be in the way of that frequency coming from the tower. So just
doing
a
that,
huge
was that because you were preparing for this conversation or just because this is what you like to do?
It's a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I just wanted to see because where I'm located in our corner of Southwest Iowa, I don't have 5G connection on capability yet. So when I come to the city, I see that 5G pop up on my phone, and I just like to random test it because that's what I do.
Yeah, well, I do that a lot too, just to, I want to see where the speed is. Is it faster? Is it slower today? And zip, watching that number go all the way. Although we got gig in here and watching it go that high,
Sure.
it's, I geek out on it a little bit, even not completely understanding what it is that we're talking about.
Exactly.
And that's the cool part, I think, about what you guys get to do for a living is you see this stuff, and I'm sure that 6G will be here eventually. I don't know when.
Ozzy Osbourne said, how many bloody G's are there going to be? And he's right, because it's going to continue to keep evolving.
Yes.
And one thing that's interesting too about the generations, right? So today, 5G, and talked about the speeds that we're seeing today, but that's not necessarily always the case. Of 4G could be just as fast, depending on what the carrier is going to allow you to have. So a lot of carriers, as you know, there are limitations on, you might have unlimited data, but after a certain time period, they're going to throttle, and that's not necessarily a good word in the technical term, but they will reduce your speed or give you limitations to how much speed you can actually have, depending on how much you've used, depending on how many people are actually using the tower at the same time you are, because there's only so much bandwidth that can go around. There's a lot of factors that are built into that, and so it's not always what you think it is, and especially in the mobile world, when you're out and about, you experience a little bit of everything because placement where you are, what the carrier is going to allow you to have, how many people are actually on the tower at the same time you are. There's multiple things that play into that piece where when you have a fiber connection, you're pretty much going to get a certain speed brought to the home or brought to the business, and then it changes or can change once it gets inside the home, as far as, like you talked about, Jake, as far as the devices, can the device actually handle the speed that's being brought into the home at that time? Right. How many devices do I actually have on the network that's going to be taking all this data information that's being brought in? How big of a difference is that, as far as what I'm bringing to the house? So
Good
big
way to look at
changes.
that, honestly, is if if you've been to a college football game, since you're Iowa fans, everybody is. If you've been to an Iowa game, your data may not work at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just drowned out with usage. So
That actually happened to me. I thought I was being so smart. This goes back to our radio days. And
Okay.
doing radio up in Okoboji. And there was a technology called a tie line. You remember this?
Yep.
And it was a cellular delivered tie line. So it works off of a phone. And I'm thinking, oh, we're just going to get great quality from out in the middle of the lake. Well, this is the 4th of July and there's 100,000 people in Okoboji. It didn't work.
Right.
And I was in trouble because I didn't have a backup plan. I thought this was just so smart. Nope, that usage thing and how many people are in the area. Yeah, and speaking of an Iowa game, I was wanting to get a live update from someone who was at the game. He couldn't get out.
Yep.
Couldn't get out. And sometimes I think we don't really know how many people are out there on that tower. So
right.
that could be a real, you're calling tech support trying to figure out
Right.
what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, there's
If you
just
can
too
get to them.
And that's a good point as well, Bill. I mean, it's sometimes very painful to be able to get support, especially through many of these carriers anymore. But that's what I like about the local appeal. Usually when people are calling FMTC, they're talking to live people all the time. And they're talking to people that's within our call centers, which we're very local, as you know. We're talking about Stanton. We talk about the different communities that we serve. We have people in Stanton who take calls every day, all day, and they're talking to us. They're not talking to somebody from the outside who's trying to figure out, how do I route you to somewhere else to be able to get you some answers? And sometimes that takes a long time, as we've all experienced if we've been on other carriers different than FMTC. Where when you're talking with FMTC folks, I mean, you get an opportunity to speak to a person right away and get some results, which
A lot
is
of times
amazing.
it's your neighbor.
Yeah, it really is.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, somebody that's coached your kid's baseball team and
Yep.
your neighbor. So yeah, we take a lot of pride in that.
absolutely.
I think that actually matters because that's shared experiences. So when you're calling somebody with a problem, even if you don't know that person, you know that you've got something in common with them, at least from a proximity standpoint.
Right.
And that is huge, and that's a giant step for customer service, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think our customer service is amazing, not only from people answering the phones at the desk, taking a customer call, whether it's a bill or anything that's related to a service order in that aspect, or having issues and wanting to talk to somebody in our network operations center. I mean, those folks are very key in being able to help solve problems over the phone without even somebody having to come to the house and be able to do that. We do that as well, but it's not always necessary, and a lot of times it can be resolved without that.
High percentage.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of to tie that back to 1 gig versus 5G, I mean, those guys in the network operations center, they know their stuff. So if you're looking to talk to somebody, a real person, and talk about your situation and in your home and what devices you have, they're great about walking that through that with you and helping you decide what's
For
best
sure.
for
And
you.
they're really good at finding the correct speed packages for you and for your needs and for your devices, and based off usage and device count.
You alluded to the weather and how that can affect what's going on with speed and with 5G. How much can that affect it? I mean, can cold temperatures affect it? Is it humidity? Is it storms coming through?
Could be all of the above, actually. Worst case scenario, of course, weather takes a cell tower down. Now, everyone that was split among 4 or 5 towers is now shoved to 2 or 3 towers, and now they just become drowned out like that Iowa football game situation, and where our direct connection is buried to your house. That's your speed, it's yours, and it's not shared with anyone else.
Yeah, and heat, humidity, foliage,
Yep.
metal.
Yeah.
Those are all drivers. When I first originally started with the cellular company that I worked for, my boss told me, he said, signal does not go through dirt. And he's very right. I mean, if you're sitting at the bottom of a hill, a lot of times you don't have as good a service as somebody that's sitting on top of a hill.
Right.
So it's there's a lot of factors that go into it. And 5G or mobile, let's just maybe kind of go that direction with it, right? Mobile. it has its place, right? I mean, we all have cell phones and we all have needs for cell phones and being able to get communication. There's a lot of mobile routers and things like that that are sitting in people's homes today, but what type of service are they asking for, and can those types of devices actually deliver what the customer wants? A lot of times you'll see mobile carriers, they will prepackage things together. Like you get 2 phones and a mobile device in your house for X amount of dollars. And for some people that's fine, as long as they've got a good signal coming into the home to be able to take care of what they're doing. A lot of times it's not. And the experience that they have, and especially if they want to do certain things, like we talked about download, upload speeds, right? Yeah. And so if you're a gamer and you're looking to upload speed, it's not symmetrical, it's asymmetrical, and meaning you're going to get better download speeds than upload speeds. And when that happens, that's not a good experience for somebody who does video conferencing, gaming, anything video related really is not a great thing in a mobile environment.
That's where your latency will come into play
Yes.
as well. Gaming especially. Always looking for that low latency number. And latency, when you run a speed test, you're going to see the word ping. And ping is really just a tool to determine latency. And that's, I think, what a lot
Yeah,
of
and we measure it right in milliseconds, correct?
Yes.
And so on a wireless side of things, they're looking at, and I don't know the millisecond speeds as well as you would, but on a hardwired fiber network, what's a typical millisecond that we put out on our labels?
I'm upset if I see over 11, between 11 and 15. That's our baseline. So directly to our device, I'll see 6 millisecond ping.
Does that change based on conditions, or can that sometimes be a hardware issue?
More so, I would say, depends on where you're sending that ping. So it obviously will pick the path of least resistance. So it's going to go to the quickest route back and forth. However, if it finds that server is overloaded, it's going to go somewhere else, and that can affect your ping time depending on where you're sending that request and how fast it's getting back to you. So if it's going to Los Angeles, it might affect your ping time. If it's going to Chicago, it may be a little quicker. If it's going to Omaha from us, it'll be quicker yet, depending on the server size.
Well, I can speak to what we have available here locally because I was just in Mexico. And when I landed, my cell provider sends me a text message, hey, welcome to Mexico. Here's what you have. You've got 3 gig of cellular data that you can use. And I think I could have been there for 2 months and not used it all because I just wasn't getting anything coming through. So, and I'm sure it has to do with limited towers of where I was at.
Yeah, so that's another good point, is you're talking about a limitation. So a 3 gig limitation compared to a 3 gig speed, which is common for people to have a misunderstanding about that, to where it's a measurement of limitation rather than speed. Some people think, well, I'm only getting 1 gig, I get more than that now. Well, they're talking about a cap.
Right.
We don't have a cap per se. We don't have one at all. It's unlimited, but the speed is 1 gig.
So that would have been the 3 gig that it was telling me. That was a total amount of data that I was going to be able to download into my phone while I was there before. I don't know if they just shut it off or just, as you said, limit the amount that was coming in. So, but, that's neither here nor there because I don't live in Mexico.
Well, and while we're talking about gigs and gigabytes and all these things, so can you talk about gigahertz?
Gigahertz. So another measurement of radio frequencies. So on your residentials, of course, right now the primary is 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. We've got some 6 gigahertz. Now they're talking about Wi-Fi 7 and Wi-Fi 8, and it just continues to expand. But primarily right now, 5 gigahertz and 2.4. 5G and 5 gigahertz, common misconception there is the misunderstanding of that is that similar to the cellular tower and the range of, get a higher speed on a 5 gigahertz inside your home if you have a device that connects to it. but it has lesser range. So if you're going to be outside and you're going to be working in the yard, most likely you're probably picking up a 2.4 from the same router in your house. The closer you get to that, jumps you back on, auto steers you to the 5 gigahertz, jumps your speed up as well.
Yeah, I've noticed that I have two different options on my home internet coming out of the router, and that's exactly what it is. And I remember reading something about that it didn't go as far, but it was faster where it did get to. So I always was curious whether that affected reliability or not.
Does not, no. As a matter of fact, if you're on your 5 gigahertz connection and your speed is sufficient and you move out further and further, it will diminish your speed on 2.4, but you'll still be connected until you are outside of your range completely.
Tell you what, while we have an opportunity, let's go ahead and take a quick break and hear from FMTC, and we will be right back. Back on NOC Talk presented by FMTC. Let's talk a little bit about speed. We've talked about the 1 gig. We've talked about some of the different things that that kind of speed and reliability it can provide. What do I need, and how do I know what I need? What kind of questions should I be asking, or should someone be asking me to find that information out?
Yeah, that's a great question, Todd, because a lot of times I think people don't know, right? We know that we need it. We know that we need to be able to use our devices at home and or business to be able to do what we need to do. But how much do I need? All I know is that I'm going to have to pay for it, but I don't know what level. And so I think the good thing that we can help people through is what is the need. And a lot of times, how many we try to find out how many pieces do you have connected to your service, or are you expecting to connect to your service? Do you game? Are you a video person? Do you love to watch video? Do you stream? Or are you somebody who's just a casual user that you like to check your email, you like to browse on the internet a little bit? That's really kind of your forte. So there's different speed levels in there, right? And so it goes kind of from, if I'm a casual user, I don't need a whole lot of speed. If I'm somebody who's got quite a bit of stuff that I like to do, and if I game a little bit, there's another speed out there that you probably should be looking at. If I have a lot of connected devices and I'm actually doing all of these other things that we're talking about too, then we need to be looking at something that's a little bit more higher tier. And I think it's important for people to give the provider, whoever that is, and hopefully us, a chance to really kind of work through that with the customer and saying, let's find out what the need is first before we actually just say, here's our rate plan.
I think what I'm hearing then is there's more to it than just finding out how much Netflix needs to stream.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
There's a lot more going on, and especially in the days of, I forget how long ago it was we started hearing that phrase unplugged,
Right.
of unplugging from cable, and everything is delivered over the internet now. And so we need to have that reliability, especially because we're dependent on it. I don't know that we can function as we know it today without having a reliable signal coming in.
No, I totally agree with that. And, from an educational value today to a health value to staying connected and communicated with values. I mean, there's so many different applications that we use that for today, keeping our home at a certain temperature, being able to make sure that the garage door is shut at a certain time, checking who's coming to our house through our Ring doorbells or whatever doorbell we use, and cameras that we have set up on our properties. And, how far do we want our service to extend throughout our whole house? Do we want it through part of the house? Do we want it through all of our house, depending on the size of our home? Do we want it out to our sheds? What do we want, right? And so there's a lot of applications out there. There's so many different needs that people have that it's good to understand, those values. And a lot of times we'll do walkthroughs with the customer too to make sure that this is what they're asking for. This is the service that they need. How can we provide that? And where can we make the best choice as far as giving that service to them where they want it to be?
And I think people oftentimes don't even realize how many devices they have. I mean, our techs, when they're installing, will help the customer get everything connected once the service is up. And it seems like it's just a never-ending, oh, what about my barbecue grill? And it just goes on and on
Right.
and on down to light switches. And you don't realize how many devices are actually utilizing data in your home anymore. And it's right up there with as important as electricity at this point.
Yeah, it's become almost a safety issue. I learned recently from a plumber that there is technology that you can tell if there's been some type of change of water pressure.
Yes.
And so let's say you're a snowbird and you're down in Arizona somewhere and you get an alert that something has happened at home because there was a cold snap. You can monitor that and you're not going to come home to a giant mess. That's relying on that internet. You need to make sure that you have that coming in.
That's right, water heaters. You're exactly right. They have an auto shut off that once it senses that pressure drop of the water inlet coming into the water heater, it will shut off. It's an auto valve that will shut it off and let you know that your water's been shut off.
All internet provided. And it's...
We're connected.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Things are altogether different.
We definitely are.
All right, Jake, I'm going to see if I can't stump you here. We're going to see if we can come up with some questions and get you to give some answers so we can get a little bit more information. All right, so 5G replacing fiber. Is that going to happen?
Well, 5G is reliant on fiber, so no. 5G is not capable without a fiber connection, actually. So tower is fiber fed, and then similar to, look at it as your router at home. It's fiber fed to your router. Your router puts out the Wi-Fi that all your wireless devices connect to. It's the same situation, just on a cell tower.
All right, something that I have actually heard before is a gig speed. Oh, I don't need that much. Do we?
Do, actually. The majority of people do, yes. And actually multi-gig, like we talked about earlier, is becoming a factor that's upcoming, actually.
All right, wireless just as reliable as fiber, so why would I even bother?
Actually, that takes us back to the earlier conversation about a storm coming through, or reliability issues with that is totally dependent on weather and storm damage or any of that stuff. So reliability of having buried fiber to your home, I don't think it gets much better than that.
How about those that believe that Wi-Fi speed is the same as internet speed? That they're just basically different names for the same thing.
It's a really good point. Wireless is only as good as your signal, which means similar to that cell tower that we had talked about with the hills and the buildings, and in your home, if your router is placed where it's behind the kitchen cabinets and you're trying to get a connection on the other side of that, speeds will vary in your home the same way as they do out in the country on a wireless connection. So just because you have 1 gig speed that you purchase doesn't mean you have that wirelessly throughout your entire house. It's not a 1 gig bubble around your house, so to speak. I mean, it's going to vary.
Alan, these things that we're talking about, these are not uncommon questions. This is a lot of people believe some of these things. Where'd that come from?
It's a myth, right? I mean, or people talking to people who feel like that they have some knowledge to it, but maybe not all the knowledge to it. So again, I think it's important to make sure that you reach out to the experts. I mean, Jake's been in this business for a long time. There's a lot of other people that's been in our business for a long time. They understand it and they can guide people through it and help them make smart decisions on what's best for them versus just, throwing out something and saying this is what you need. I feel like a lot of times as a consumer, I've done it myself. I call somebody and I think this is what I need, and then I get it and I'm disappointed because the service isn't quite what I thought it was going to be. And you end up changing or finding a different service that, that's going to get you what you want. And I think that's the beauty of what we do at FMTC is we take that opportunity to make sure that we're providing you what you need versus what you think you need sometimes.
Well, and also asking the question of what's coming in the future.
Right.
That is there something that we know this needs to be able to service because this is a change that's coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And we back in the wireless world when we were was working there, we were talking about, what are the changes? What's the big thing that's going to happen? Well, at one point in time, Apple happened, right? And so the Apple iPhone came out, and then all of a sudden we have smartphones. And so smartphones demanded all this data, all this speed to be able to do what it did. And of course, we talked about in our earlier episode about planning and pre-planning and trying to make sure that we progress as we go to make sure that we cover what the demand is out there for the consumer and make sure that we're profitable in doing that as well. And so iPhone was that piece. And as we progress, you see other things that come in. And now we're at AI. And AI has taken things kind of from this platform where Apple and what was happening with the smartphone world to we're now going up another curve and trying to make sure that we satisfy people and their demands of trying to utilize and use AI because it's very data driven, very data eccentric. And if you're using that at home, and most people are in some factor, and you know that it's coming into the gaming world, it's coming into all these other worlds, you're going to need the speed to be able to do the things that you want to do.
Well, let me, for AI users, let me give you a quick tip. If you leave the M dash in it, we know it was an AI generated. So just take them out. And you can tell whatever you're using to take it out.
That's right.
So,
Same with the emojis and all that stuff, yeah.
exactly.
Please remove.
It's very simple to do. A lot of great information here. And I think that, the AI topic can be, we can go on and on forever about that. But I'm thrilled that you guys came in and sharing this information with us because it's important to know. And I know that I learned a lot today, and I'm sure that there's more out there as well. Real quickly, for anybody who is catching on later on in the series and you hear my voice is different, this is a cold. So I promise you it will get better. But I have to be very careful with my inflections right now. Otherwise, it just disappears completely. But Alan, Jake, Isabelle, thank you so much for coming in. And I'm excited to continue on with this series and learn more about what's going on at FMTC, learn more about what the company stands for, what you're producing for, and the services that you're giving the region that you serve. And this is exciting times, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
We're thrilled to death too of being a part of this and something new for the company, a new opportunity to educate and inform. And we're not necessarily here to sell. That's not necessarily our goal. Our goal is to talk about what makes sense for the people, so that they can help make an educated decision in what they want to do and where they want to go with their product and utilize their services at home for sure.
NOC Talk is presented by FMTC. Thank you very much for being a part of it, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.